All right, welcome everybody to today's webinar titled Bridging the Skills Gap, the Texas A&M ITSM Story. I'm pleased to introduce the panel from Texas A&M who will share their stories and their journey to embed ITIL 4 and related frameworks into core academic curriculum. This panel will be led by Dave Sweeney. Joining him are Adam Michael and Carl Ivey. They'll do a quick introduction in a few minutes. Today's presentation it'll be about 45 minutes with time left over for Q&A. Everyone will be on mute, and feel free to post your questions in Q&A at any time. We probably will save questions till the end, but please do post questions as they come to your mind. Use the chat window to have conversation with each other. Try not to put your questions in the chat. Let's put them in the Q&A so we can better monitor them. But if you do want to ask a question, go ahead and use the raise hand icon or raise hand feature. I'll take you off mute, ask your question, and then when you're done, I'll put you back on mute. And then, of course, this webinar is being recorded, and it'll be available within 5 business days on the EDUCAUSE ITSM Google website. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to David.
Thanks, Mitch. Of course, being Aggies, we always start every presentation with howdy. And I really think that Zoom needs to build a howdy reaction into the little icons that we have in order to do that, because we got a lot of Aggies down here in College Station. On behalf of Carl and Adam and I, thank you for coming to this presentation. We're very excited to be able to share our new program with you. We're going to introduce ourselves briefly, and without further ado, let's have Carl introduce himself.
Well, howdy, everybody. It's great to be here today. I'm probably the newest to the group here. I'm currently the Executive Director of IT in Technology Services. I'm over our academic operations area. I have student affairs, the main part of my portfolio. I've been on the university probably about 16 years now. I have a background in project management and ITIL from my military time. I've got one class left for my ITIL master, and so I'm hoping to knock that out this year. And I've been teaching our capstone class in the IT service management program that you'll hear about a little later. This will be my 4th semester teaching that. It's a project-based capstone, and I really have a passion for project management, relationship management, and service management. Glad to be here.
Thanks, bro. I'm David Sweeney. I just retired last summer from Texas A&M after 30 years. I was Chief Information Officer and Chief Human Resources Officer at the Texas Transportation Institute. Had been teaching at Texas A&M for about 7 years prior to that. My retirement lasted about a month, and then the university asked me to come back and to basically head up this new ITSM degree program area. This is something that we're going to talk about in detail today. It's something that we've been working on for some time. My passion is really career development for students and instruction. I also teach the intro class to IT service management, and also one of the sections of the capstone. Okay, and before we do that, there's Adam's slide. I'm sorry,
no worries.
Sorry, there's your slide, Adam.
I think David just wants to skip over me today. I am currently serving as the Chief Information Security Officer for Texas A&M. I've been here about 25 years at the university in different roles, and I've been teaching in the program that we're going to be discussing for, this is entering my 8th year, I think, David. You and I started in 2016, I think.
Right.
Yeah, so I've been doing that adjunct professor role in addition to sort of my main day job, which has been in information security for a while. I've taught a number of courses, DevOps. We created a DevOps course, maybe one of the first in the country, I think, at an undergraduate level. I've taught project management, databases, a number of other types of courses as well, but most recently, this semester, I'm finishing up a class where we've been examining machine learning and AI, so it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, and just one more comment. All 3 of us are APT faculty, which means that we're at heart practitioners. Except for me, both Adam and Carl have day jobs where they are professional IT managers, obviously CISO and director of IT, executive director of IT. So we really come at the topic from a practitioner's standpoint, and I hope that that comes through in our presentation. We wanted to kick things off by kind of asking a preliminary question here. Does your institution offer any courses related to ITSM? And we're real curious about that, about other pockets of ITSM education across the country. So I think Mitch will get the poll started.
Yeah, we'll give you 30, 45 seconds or so to jump in. We've got a small crowd, so everybody should be able to respond pretty quickly. We're about 61%, just a few more seconds, if you will. Jump in there. A couple more laggards, just want to jump in and participate.
You're a good whip, Mitchell.
I want a full 100% participation. That's my metric is 100%. All right, we'll go ahead and close the poll here. I think we have enough.
Well, we know Paul's answer either way.
I'll go ahead. What's that?
So we know Paul's answer either way.
There. All right, we'll go ahead. Oh, there you go. No, I'll share the results. You should see the results now.
Wow. Okay, so you see, this is kind of a topic that if it's catching on in higher ed, it may just be catching on in higher ed. So I'm very glad to see these results. Yeah, thanks for responding. It looks like we had two that said that they do have it. Okay, so we're going to jump right in here. We want to frame this whole conversation by talking about what we consider to be a skills gap, and a skills gap between our graduates and what the workforce is looking for in IT professionals and ITSM professionals. And these data that we're going to present are taken from the National Association of Colleges and Educators, NACE, and they're really kind of the leader in this area for collecting data on the preparation of students in the higher ed environment, what kinds of characteristics and skills employers are looking for, and really looking at this gap. And they've been doing this for decades, really. I think most of these data come from a report that they just released in 2023, even though some of the citations are a little bit earlier. So to begin with, we have this issue where job prospects, I'll never forget it. It was about 10 years ago, I was sitting around a table with 6 other tenured faculty in different areas of the institution. And we started talking about this issue about why do students come to the academy? Why do they come to higher education? And everyone at the table who was a tenured professor, except me, I was a practitioner, they all said, well, they come to learn. They come to learn and to learn how to learn how to synthesize information, and they were talking about it more in the classical or the liberal arts sense. And I said, well, I think that many of our students come to college because they want a better job. They want to improve their job prospects. And that was an idea at least 10 years ago that was very, very foreign to our faculty at that time, at least the faculty that I had at my, that anecdotal, one data point that I had taken so long ago. And I was a little puzzled by that, because my experience had been also that the reason that I went to school is because I wanted to improve my job prospects. So the other thing is that as of 2018, only 43% of seniors felt prepared for their future careers. And that number surprised me a little bit. I thought that more seniors would feel better prepared. We just did a survey about 2 weeks ago where we surveyed our graduates from our program. And it wasn't 43%, it was 23%. So it was a little bit lower, maybe significantly lower. But still, the 23% kind of surprised me for seniors that felt that they were not prepared for their future careers. We also have a study that came out of the Texas 60 by 30 initiative talking about job placement. And they were looking at what institutions were doing in order to help students gain that employment the first time. And their conclusion was that institutions have not significantly improved how they assist and connect students to jobs. And then one last data point in this issue of certifications, especially in four-year colleges, we found that our college, Texas A&M, was very reluctant to incorporate certifications into a degree program. And when I would talk to faculty and dean level people, the response was usually something like, well, we don't do that. That's not within our mission. That's for somebody else to do that, which was interesting because our experience when we would talk to employers was one of the first things that they would do when they would get new college graduates into their company was to send them to training, and in many cases send them to certifications. So we felt that there was a little bit of a disconnect between what higher ed's priorities or goals were and what students' goals were in that environment. So we also have kind of the other side of this, which is on the student side. And NACE's bread and butter is this idea of core skills. That's the new term. They've been using that term for about 2 years. Prior to that, it was marketable skills. They've also referred to them as soft skills. The terminology has changed over the years as the research has changed.
I think they're starting to call them power skills now.
Is that power?
Yeah, the newest one is power skills, I think.
So whatever you call it, I like the idea of marketable skills, the term marketable skills, core skills, marketable skills, soft skills. Basically, what NACE has reported is that 72% of their respondents, meaning these are employers, have cited critical thinking and problem solving skills as being the most important skills that they need in new graduates, and they aren't necessarily coming to them with those skills. 63% cite collaboration and teamwork. And interestingly enough, we focused a lot on technical skills. According to NACE, technical skills were tied for third place in order of their importance to employers, endorsed by 54% of the respondents. And I think part of that is because those kinds of technical skills can be taught, and many times companies will have to teach the specific flavor of those technical skills to new hires into their companies. And so technical skills do not rate as high as some of these softer or marketable skills. And for traditional academics, reading, writing, arithmetic, those are endorsed by only 10% of employers and applied mathematics by only 5%. So in summary, the results suggest that on the average, the employers are recognizing that there's much higher value in these marketable skills or core skills when compared to the hard skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic. And in general, NACE finds that those skills are not always being demonstrated in new graduates from colleges. Okay, so employers are also filling the skills gap. And like I said earlier, a lot of times we see employers will hire these new students, and one of the first things they'll do is they'll send them to training. And NACE reports on this. Of the 217 employers that they surveyed, 46% were saying that they had to provide remedial training. And they referred to that as workforce readiness training. And a lot of that had to do with these soft and core skills. And the average cost of remediation for those employees was $1,252. So there's a gap between what the colleges are teaching, what the students are bringing to their entry-level jobs, their first jobs. And that gap is being filled, at least to a certain extent, on the side of the employers by increased training after the fact. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that we need to do a better job of preparing our students. And so before we go into what we did in our program, we wanted to ask this question: do you believe that your current degree offerings are adequately preparing your graduates? In other words, how do you feel your students would respond to that particular survey question?
And let me go ahead and launch the survey. Hopefully it's the right one. It looks like it's the right one. Again, we'll give you 30, 45 seconds or so to jump in the survey. Looks like we're getting some responses. Appreciate that. Looks like a somewhat. Oh, I'm spoiler alert. I better not say what I'm seeing. All right, we've got about half of you. Sorry?
Does it affect the outcome if you say?
Maybe. It's kind of insider trading, huh?
Right.
All right, so got about half of you. So give you a few more seconds to jump in there. Just a couple more seconds. Hopefully more of you can jump in there. All right, I think we're going to get what we're going to get. So I'll go ahead and end the poll, and then I will share the results.
Okay, somewhat. Yeah. That's how I would have answered. I think I would have answered somewhat in that. I think that the actual data that we get from NACE probably indicates that our students feel less prepared than perhaps we feel that we're preparing them. There may be a slight disconnect there. So something to think about as we move forward and begin to, design these new curriculum. Okay, so the journey so far, how we got here, and I'm going to let Adam lead this particular section. I'm going to jump in as needed. So Adam, just tell me when you want me to
Okay.
advance the slides here.
All right. So just to give a little bit of history, when David and I started teaching and were asked to join the faculty, it was specifically because the program at the time, it had been around 15-ish years or so. It was called Technology Management. It was sitting in an odd area in the university. For historical reasons, it was held by the College of Education. And at the time, I think we felt it had maybe stagnated a little bit. It had definitely gotten to a point where the technology environment and what was going on in the market had moved, and the program had not really moved along with it. And the current director of the program, she had been handed this. She was an education professor. She didn't know anything about technology management. She approached David and said, hey, they knew each other through another avenue. And she said, could you come in and bring in a little bit of fresh ideas? We need someone who's currently practicing in the field to bring in some new thought to the program and to help us find the future and shape this where we want it to go. And so David pulled me along with him in that first conversation, and we said, yeah, let's do this. We started teaching some classes, we wrote some curriculum, and we immediately started advocating within the department, hey, we've got some ideas about how to change this. We should drop some courses here, add some new things here. There's not enough coding or development courses, things like this. There was a lot of resistance within the department. I think it was less resistance and more, it wasn't prioritized. It wasn't something they felt was important enough to go through the effort to change. As we all know in higher ed, changing degree programs like this is a lot of effort. You go through a lot of layers and a lot of different groups and committees, and they just weren't interested in doing that work. It was definitely clear to us that the program itself, being housed in this college, it was sort of orphaned. It didn't have a home where they had a strong group of professionals around them that could shepherd and grow the program. So that leads us to 2021, I think. We have a new president, and she had some very strong ideas about how she wanted to change things. She came from engineering, had taken over the presidency, and had charted this path forward. She had some significant reorganization that she was doing for the institution as a whole, and particularly around some of the academic programs. One of those changes was that the entire degree program was pulled from the College of Education and placed into the College of Engineering. And all the faculty were moved along with it. And then the charge was given, rebuild the program in a way that meshes with offerings in the College of Engineering and changes the program to be something that better addresses the job market, better addresses current student needs and the technology needs that exist in the environment. And so we did a survey of the existing students, a survey of our past former students, their experience going out and finding jobs, looking for jobs, what types of courses they found useful, what they were saying, this didn't bring value to me, these courses should be dropped, I wish I had more of this topic or that topic. And we did a market analysis, a survey of industry partners that we knew hired our students, trying to find out what was happening when someone left our program. How could we better prepare them to enter the job market? And so at that point where the degree was transferred over, David and I and a few of our other faculty really got together and started rewriting. We rebuilt the program. We made a proposal and said, this is what we think needs to change. So we wanted to specifically build into the program a better understanding of ITSM. We also added concepts like DevOps and Lean, more project management, team development topics, and a lot more technical elements like programming right from the beginning, from the freshman year. But I think one of our core ideas, because we have both been ITIL practitioners throughout our careers, and we've used that and relied on it as we ran IT shops, was that the ITIL framework would provide an excellent framework to think about a 4-year degree, right? So we already had most of the core components that we were even carrying over from the old degree. And we knew that in some of the content that we wanted to add, all of those new additional contents also existed within the ITIL framework. So part of our idea was, why don't we just take ITIL? It creates a thought framework to approach ITSM. Why don't we use that as the lens to organize the 4-year degree? And so we made sure that the content that was contained in most of the core ITIL classes existed inside our degree plan and inside the courses, so that we could allow the students to take certifications when they finished a course. For instance, in the very first semester, as they start as a freshman, they take a 1-hour seminar that we call ITSV 101. Well, it has a lot of content in it, but it completely contains all the content that is in the ITIL Foundations course, in addition to maybe some other stuff, right? So they finish their course, they get their grade, whatever it is, and they have the opportunity to sit for the certification. Now, the certification is not required for them to get their grade for the course or their credit, but it's an optional, strongly encouraged component. So they can now, in their first year, their first semester, they've got that ITIL Foundations. And that pattern continues throughout the 4 years, such that we do the 5 core components, core courses of ITIL. So when they graduate with a 4-year degree, they also, if they choose to take it and sit for the certifications, they are able to graduate with an ITIL Managing Professional certification as well. So there's a lot of mechanics about how we've had to teach out the old degree plan, and we're pulling those students along, but our new degree is accepting students in the ITSV program starting in the fall. And so that'll be the freshmen, they start then, and we're phasing out the old degree that was called TCMG, that was Technology Management. We stopped accepting students about a year ago. So there's been a gap while we've been teaching out the old program, and we've been planning and recreating the new courses, and we're starting those in the fall. Go to the next slide. Okay, so maybe a little bit more detail about what did we change. There was a lot of HR, Human Resources Development, HRD courses in the old program. This was an artifact of the fact that it belonged to a department in education. That college was the College of Education and Human Resource Development. That was the college. So they baked a lot of these courses in because that's what they knew. And based on our conversations and surveys with our students, most of those were not really applicable. They did not find them useful. And by eliminating those, we opened up space for us to add new requirements. We added programming, and we added these classes that we created, like the 101 class that included foundations.
Just one comment, Adam. So the original degree had 23 hours of human resource development.
That many.
We eliminated all of it except one course. We kept the foundation course in human resource because we believe IT managers need to know something about that.
Yeah.
So that's literally freed up 20 hours that we could do other things with.
So we added in programming, we added in critical thinking and reasoning skills, we added in statistics, we added in one unique thing that I think we may be the only degree plan on campus that requires logic, which is a cross-listed math and philosophy symbolic logic course. And it's not just it's often used as a substitute math course in some degrees, but we required it because we thought it was a really useful class to have that sort of thinking skill. To be able to bring to bear in the field that we work in. We added several new technical courses. For instance, we added an ITSV course. I had been teaching DevOps in a sort of a special topics class. We gave that its own course name, 465. That would be High Velocity IT. And again, we're going to be incorporating the ITIL High Velocity IT material. We've basically been covering it anyway. We've added some data modeling and data statistics, like data science courses, but really targeted toward the IT field. And then the other big component to our new program, right? I'd say the two big thoughts, two big ideas, or three. certifications are included, baked in, certification opportunities. Number two is we framed the entire degree around the ITIL framework as a way to think about and organize the concepts over 4 years. And the third is we reserved 21 hours for electives that are chosen from a set list that we provide them, right? But they've got a lot of choices, and it allows them to kind of build and customize the degree and focus on areas they find interesting. So they can use those 21 hours to really focus in on, say, cybersecurity. Or they could go take those HRD courses that we cut if they think that's really something that would be beneficial to them. They could recreate that. They could take all business courses and effectively almost get a business minor with, adding maybe just 1 or 2 more courses. They could focus on things like graphic design and web development if some of those courses are available within that elective set, right? So it lets them kind of create a track that allows them to customize the degree for something that they find more applicable to their interests.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
This
in
was our
summary-
vision.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Building a degree that was focused on ITSM, but organized and built on the ITIL framework.
This is just kind of guiding principles, kind of a summary of what our thinking was as we created the new program, really focusing on career readiness and employment. And we've added some in the fall, some career assessments. We've added kind of a pathway of tasks that we want them to do starting in their freshman year. We've been working with the core leadership team, the Corps of Cadets leadership team, who've been doing this for the cadets for a number of years to help develop out kind of a calendar of touch points that we want to do that will help prepare them for their career over the course of the 4 years here. We certainly wanted to teach the core skills intentionally, and so we talk about that in each one of our courses, incorporate certifications, and also incorporate project-based learning. We took our capstone, which has historically been one course, a 4-hour course, and we split that into 2 courses across 2 semesters, because the number one feedback we had from students was there wasn't enough time to do the projects. And so now we've extended that time in order to do the capstone projects.
Well, and to go back one slide briefly, I just want to zero in on that. That might be the 4th big concept that we really did with this degree, right? Which was to focus, particularly the capstone, around this idea of a project-based learning experience. And so one of the things that David and I have done over the past several years is we have this network of our peers across campus, and we take the students. The project they do isn't just a project they make up and kind of do on their own in isolation with a bunch of students. They go out and they embed themselves into a working IT group. And it could be somewhere in our community. It could be in an IT group here on campus, in the College of Agriculture, or in the business, enrollment services. They come in and say, I've got a problem. I think that the way we're handling tickets in this one specific area is inefficient, and we don't know how to solve it. And frankly, we don't have time because we're focused on other things. And so the project team comes in and they act as like a little mini consultant group, right? It's like maybe you hired Deloitte to come in and solve this problem for you, do some process analysis. Think about it from the point of view of a process, of an ITSM process. And so that team comes in and they work with the project sponsor, and they're embedded with that group during that semester, regular check-ins with the faculty member, but they're working on a real world problem, and they produce some artifacts, a report, some type of software, some type of hardware, something that helps that embedded group solve a real problem that they have.
Okay, so our question to you is, does your institution offer industry certification opportunities in connection with your degree programs?
I'll go ahead and launch the poll. So everyone should see the poll. Give you a chance to answer. As they're answering, my question real quick is, are you offering like an IT finance class? Because I found that to be one of the most helpful courses in an MSIT program that I took.
I don't think that we have a dedicated IT finance class. We have a number of students that want to go into IT auditing, and most of those students have a minor in either finance or accounting. In fact, we have some
Forensic accounting courses, things like that.
Yeah.
right. But
Because
it
you
was
need to know things like NPS, I mean, sorry, return on investment,
Yeah.
the other one, break even point. I mean, those things are not, they're hard concepts. And so finance courses help. All right. So I think a few more of you would jump on the poll. We're not quite at 50%.
it would be interesting to develop a course like that.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued. I like the idea of an IT finance course. I'd like to take one.
Yes.
I feel like I had to pick it all up on my own as I've been in this career.
Right.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and show you the results. So you should see the results.
Okay, so we have some that are doing that, and others that are not. Mainly, most that are not. That's about what I would have expected. So it'd be interesting, Mitch, if maybe during a national EDUCAUSE, if maybe we asked a larger group about that question, because I think that percentage is probably going to go up in the next few years.
Yeah, happy to submit a short survey to the CG. If you want to create one, I can send it out.
Right, and of course, the next question, last survey question we're going to have today is, how valuable do you think industry certifications are to employers? Do they provide an advantage to job seekers?
It should get a good response rate, so I'll give people a chance to jump in there.
Yeah, and I asked this question of students in my class, or rather they ask me this question a lot. And it's interesting because I personally come heavily down on the side of the more certifications you have, the better. And the students aren't necessarily convinced, but then last week we had our industry advisory council in town, and there was a student panel, and the students were able to ask questions of the IEC panel. And they asked this question, and to a person, all of the industry representatives in that room, and there were some big ones, they said absolutely certifications were important, and you should get as many as you want. And one of my students who actually is involved in the TCMG society came up to me after, and she said, I was just waiting for you to pitch in on that. And I said, you already know what I think. I wanted to know what the industry people wanted to say. And of course, they came down very strongly on the side of that they were important.
Well, I don't want to take too much away from this, but because I've been five weeks in my job right now, the thing that got me in the door for this position was they saw that I had ITIL certifications. I had my V3 expert. I have my ITIL 4 master. That got me in the door. But my experience, my presentation, my communication skills, that's probably what got me position.
Those would be the NACE core or marketable skills.
All right, I'll go ahead and end the poll and then share the results.
All right. So most of you think somewhat, kind of mainly very much or somewhat on that side. So good. Okay.
And those of you who listed certifications, feel free to drop some of those in the chat, share with the rest of us if you're interested.
You bet.
Kind of certifications you're offering at your college.
Okay, so we're going to talk briefly about the ITSV program at Texas A&M. We call it ITSV rather than ITSM because we wanted ITSM to be kind of the four-letter abbreviation for our program, but there is another program on campus which is called ISTM, and the registrar thought that would be too confusing, so we ended up getting ITSV as our four-letter acronym. So if I say ITSV, that's what I mean. So here's a list of the elements that we wanted to do in the new program and why we did them. Obviously, when we wanted to broaden the focus to emphasize and incorporate ITSM, an ITS lens, as Adam had said earlier, we wanted to increase the problem-solving skills, increase teamwork and collaboration by doubling the capstone experience. We wanted to update the curriculum. The old curriculum was focused heavily on networking and security, and we wanted to add some more broader frameworks like DevOps, Lean, and PM, project management. We wanted to make it adaptable, and so Adam talked about the directed electives, and that's true. There are 20 directive electives, but there's also 21 non-directed electives in the program, and these are electives that a student can choose to do whatever they want. And so we really wanted to make this degree one that gave the students a good foundation, but then also allowed them to build out and create a degree however they wanted to, depending on where they wanted to build their career. And then also added other cert opportunities besides ITSM, including project management and some other certs like Lean IT and a few others. So this is a list of all the core ITSV courses, of which there are 12. And of those 12, 4 of them are brand new. We've never delivered them before. And then kind of a mapping of the certification opportunities for these courses. So right off the bat, the first course, which is a prerequisite for all of the courses in the program, ITSV courses in the program, is this Introduction to ITSM 101, which maps to ITIL foundations. And this is the first course, and they must pass it before they take or enroll in any of even the 272 courses and 274 courses. They have to pass and take ITSM before they do that. Then we have some foundational courses for IT management and networking. We have a Unix administration course, cybersecurity, database systems, service delivery. Now, the 385 course is more mapping to the ITIL 4 courses or certifications, drive stakeholder value, and direct plan and improve, which is mainly about determining and working with customers to determine value, and also how we manage the operational side of the house for direct plan and improve. So it's kind of it takes the foundational stuff that we have about ITSM in the earlier courses and kind of ramps it up, repeats it, and amplifies it a lot. And then in 465, DevOps and High Velocity IT or service delivery. That is a course that, as Adam had said, we had traditionally been taught out because it was the only place we could as the contemporary issues. But now that we have a numbered course for DevOps, we can use that contemporary issues for other things, like we're planning on doing a BRM course in the contemporary issues course next year. And then 475 and 476, where we split the capstone up. In the first course, we basically added Agile Scrum Master and Prince 2 certifications to the 475 course. And that's really the first 2/3 of that course, which Carl will be teaching next year. The first 2/3 of that is all about project management or IT project management specifically. The Prince 2 framework is very general, and it's pretty abbreviated. It's certainly not like a PMP type style, so it's really geared. It's a good fit for students, and it'll teach them something about the methodologies of project management. So the first 2/3 of that course is the project management piece, and then the last third of 475 is the initiation phase of the capstone project. So they'll get their topics, they'll create a business case, they'll create a project charter, and they'll be ready to execute on the project when the second semester hits. Then the same team that worked on 475 and did that initiation phase, then go into the next semester for 476, which is the field experience, where they would go in and actually execute on their project and then deliver the result to their sponsors. Okay, and then the next few, this QR code and this URL here will take you directly to the degree program in the catalog, in the TAMU catalog. So if you're interested in the actual elements as we've talked about them, you can go there. I'll give you just a second to take a picture of that. And I think, Mitch, do we give you this slide deck so that you can share that with the constituent group?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you've made a few updates, but I'll try to get the final copy from you to share it out. So.
You bet. Okay, so the next several slides are basically just the catalog description of the new courses that we've added. I'm not going to read these. You can read them if you're interested in them later, but you'll notice based upon the previous slides that these really map to different topics, which then also map to the certifications, beginning with the 101, which is kind of the introduction to ITSM, the entry level for the degree. We've taught that ITSV 101 course for the first time this semester. And out of 74 students that are taking it, we think that 71 of them will probably pass it. And then we have 3 students that are not going to pass it, which it's a little painful for me because, of course, I want all of them to be able to pass it and go forward in the degree. But I think, maybe it's an indication about, because it's an introduction, it's better that students find out whether or not this is a topic that they're going to want to work in as a career sooner rather than later. And so I really like the ITSV 101 being the first shot out of the gate when we do the new degree. 385, which is IT management service delivery, cert's optional, extends IT service management and disciplines in that area. Also focuses on continual improvement in that one. And then the foundations of data analytics. This is one of our new technical courses. One of our tenure track faculty members, his specialization is in cybersecurity and data analytics, and so he's working on this. That was one that we thought that students very frequently said that they would like to see added to the program. DevOps and high velocity service delivery. This is kind of what Adam was talking about earlier. We're talking about lean and agile organizations, business relationship management, IT governance. And then they're also doing CI/CD pipeline in that course. So it's kind of half technical, half non-technical. The other half of that is an actual technical project where they deploy CI/CD pipelines in the cloud. And then the capstone, of course, capstone 1, I talked about that earlier with the project management and then the initiation phase of the capstone project and then capstone 2. So that is it for our presentation. It is 2:44, and I think I'm supposed to turn it back over to Mitch at this point.
Yeah, no worries. We've got a few questions. Looks like Dana's alone in the Q&A. So if anybody wants to join him, so he didn't feel lonely, go ahead and drop your question there. By the way, I was thinking as you're talking through those classes, to have some of the authors of the ITIL book come and maybe do a guest presentation or speaking, right? Having a Mark Smalley in one of your classes for high velocity IT. How cool would that be, right?
That would be
So, yeah, actually, so my course, for those of you who know DevOps and are familiar with the Phoenix Project, that book.
Yeah, Gene Kim.
Yeah, so they read that book. We read that as the first thing they do, right? And Gene Kim came and spoke to my class the first semester I taught it.
Yeah.
He told me, to his knowledge, it was the first time his book had been used in this way. And he's the one who said that he thought that we were the first university that started teaching DevOps, at least at that point in time. I'm sure it's more common now.
Right. Now, this makes me want to enroll as a student again, right? So very cool presentation, and be wonderful if more institutions took a look at their academic, classes and figured out how do we get ITIL in there, or PMP, right? Most a lot of times, higher ed organizations will have their professional development school or their extended ed offer these classes, but this is interesting that you're actually embedded within the core academic curriculum. So let me go ahead and jump into the Q&A while we have a little more time. Dana's first question here is, so have you looked at or used the Sophia framework, skill frame for information age, which focuses more on skills and any credentials?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but we didn't really look at it as we were creating the new curriculum. And I think it's something that obviously we need to look at as a curriculum committee, because we're looking at multiple frameworks. And keep in mind, we're just at the very beginning of this whole process here. And so it's important for us to continue to evolve it. But no, we didn't look at that when we were creating the program. I think Dana also asked about how many credits or electives in the program to help round out the education. So there are 21 guided electives that are taken from a specific list of things that include quite a wide range of different things that would be helpful to somebody as an IT professional. But then there's also an additional 20 self-directed electives, 20 hours of self-directed electives, where the student can pick whatever they want.
That many?
Go ahead, Adam.
I didn't remember that was the number, 21 and 20?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So there's a lot of room for the student to basically pick out their degree as they go through everything.
And the question on, are there any liberal arts kind of requirements? So this entirely builds upon, our university has what they call the core curriculum requirements, and that takes up almost to the first 2 years. So we've intersected some of our requirements in those first 2 years as well, but the university has a set of core curriculum, which include writing intensive classes, basic history, math, sciences, liberal arts. Those are all included in that core curriculum, including some of those open electives that David mentioned. They come from the core curriculum requirements.
Yeah.
So Andrew's question really is, I think, a broader question. He's talking specifically about, what happens with the requirement to recert every 3 years, but really a bigger question, expanded question. How are you dealing with this, just the whole logistics, the rising costs of the certification, the changing requirements for people certain, Axelos? Talk through some of that.
Well, we've been an accredited training organization with Axelos for many years, 7 or 8 years now, and we've been giving certification exams. I would say personally, I am concerned about the changes in the model. Up to this point, you took it was good forever, and now they're saying, well, no, now you need to recertify every 3 years, and they're still
CPDs.
working kind of out what that looks like. So there is concern about that. There's concern about the rising costs. When we looked at ITIL as kind of the foundation for the framework, we did that with the knowledge that if you look at ITSM as a profession or as a discipline inside of IT, really at this point ITIL is the industry standard or leader in this area, but also acknowledging that it's not everything, and that there are other frameworks and things will change over time. And so we anticipate that the degree will change over time too. But for right now, when you look at ITSM, I think it's probably the most complete framework that we have for addressing IT service management. And so what we want to do, and we also have faculty, tenure track faculty, 3 tenure track faculty in our department, and they're looking for lines of research in these areas. And so this has been one of the gaps in ITSM as a profession is real academic level research in these areas. And so this is something else we're going to do. So I think the bottom line is we're going to move ITSM forward as a profession, as a discipline. Right now, ITIL is the flavor of the month. I hate to use that phrase, but they kind of are. But that may change in time, and some of the things that have happened lately, like the recertifications and the increase in costs, are not things that obviously people like us like. I think the students are still getting the knowledge, but are we going to continue to be focused on that in the future? Well, for the foreseeable future, but there are other frameworks that are up and coming, and things may change as the discipline changes over time.
Yeah, it's good to keep an eye on what's becoming popular and what's being used in the industry and what might be competing with ITIL, like USM or IT for IT or some of the other sort of service management frameworks. Dana's asking about other sort of classes like around governance or enterprise architecture. I'm interested in product management. I don't see that being taught a lot. So is there interest in moving in that direction?
We don't have anything specifically related to governance that's outside the general framework. But if we end up getting working on a master's degree in ITSM, which is kind of where our department wants us to go, that would be a topic that would be something that we would want to hit for more senior people, maybe people that have been in industry for a number of years, 3 to 5 or 7 years. The master's degree is shaping up to have a lot more strategy in it and governance in those kinds of topics.
That makes sense.
We do teach some strategy as part of the framework in general, but not to the level that I think that his question was directed.
Yeah, so the undergrad program is very technical in nature, right? So versus maybe a master's that might be more geared at management or director level.
Exactly.
And then the last question we have here in the queue is from Paul. Can't imagine getting any certification mandatory, but do any professors provide incentives like additional class credit for taking a certification test? And are you able to provide any student discounts for exams?
So let me answer the last question first. Yes, because we are an education partner, we get a substantial discount from PeopleCert in order to offer to students. And in fact, we also train IT professionals. And so we have differential pricing. When we teach a class with IT professionals, they pay more, almost double what students would take for that exam. And so PeopleCert is really conscious of that and conscious that because this is not part of the tuition and fees, this is additional funds that students have to come up with. And if they're self-financing their degree, this is money that they can't put on when it comes to their financial aid. We do not require any of the certifications, and that was a sticking point with the university. They said you absolutely cannot require a certification as part of an academic course. And because of that, we also don't offer any additional incentives or any kind of grading result of that. We teach the curriculum and then give them the opportunity to sign up, to pay for and sign up and take the certification. That being said, in this ITSV 101 course that I just took, in order to pass the course, you have to pass an ITIL practice exam, which as an ATO, we've had many of those over the years. And so we create practice exams that are exact replicas of the actual certification exam. I did have several students this semester, keep in mind this is the first semester we taught this, that did not pass the two exams that I gave them as part of the course, but they signed up for the real exam and passed it. And when they told me that, I gave them credit for that component because they passed the real exam. That, after all, was the whole point of teaching them ITIL foundations. And so in that regard, I guess that would be kind of an academic incentive. I don't know if my dean would like that or not, but I went ahead and gave them credit if they passed the real exam.
So very nice. Dane, I think, is echoing what the rest of us are thinking. Congratulations on building this program. It sounds like it's just a lot of value there, and it's getting better, and you're learning from what students want and making improvements. And so congratulations. I'm sure it was a lot of hard work. Okay. So anything last minute before I go ahead and conclude you wanted to say?
Carl, Adam, anything?
Dana's comment there, he thought ITSM was a great choice for a degree program since it spans the entire IT value chain. That is exactly why David and I wanted to structure the degree around it. That's it right there.
Yep.
I think that does a nice job of summarizing that. All right, so we've reached the end of our presentation. Our speakers' contact information is in the slide deck, which you'll receive the slide deck and the recording within 5 business days. I'd like to thank the panelists for sharing their insights and their program with us today. At the end of this event, when I go ahead and click that end button, you're going to see a link pop up to a survey. I encourage you to please take that. It helps us to learn what you like about these events and what we can do better. A reminder that, again, everything will be sent to you as a package within 5 business days. You will see a link to where the package is located, which is our website. On the website, you'll see past recordings of all the events that we've had. We've had over 200 events in the last 4 years, so plenty of great information available to you on the website. We're always looking for a fresh idea, so if you have a topic you want to present on, feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is in the chat. It's also in probably a lot of emails you get every day, so sorry about that. But at least have my email address. So contact me, and I'll set you up with set you up for doing a presentation. Again, thank you, Carl, David, and Adam for a presentation. And everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Mitch.
All right. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.